Welcome back to the program. Is it about time that the American Medical Association and many medical organizations out there finally designate people with an actual mental illness that go crazy and hate Trump? I mean, we joke about it and we call it Trump derangement syndrome. But is it truly a mental illness? I believe it is. And I'm not the only one. There are a lot of psychiatrists out there, psychologists out there, social workers, people that deal with people with depression, doctors, whatever, what have you. And they're saying the same thing, that these people have a derangement to anything that has to deal with Trump. We see it all the time, right? I mean, if President Trump said, hey, everybody, don't hold your breath because if you do, you'll die. Well, guess what? There's going to be some dead liberals out there because they're going to do just the opposite. They're going to hold their breath and they're going to die. Or pregnant women, pregnant liberal women, were told what? Do not take Tylenol. It causes health problems. It causes autism. It causes other issues as well. And what do? They're gobbling down Tylenols. Actually, one person even died from it. And some have gotten sick. Some have miscarried. So in other words, you're harming your child, your unborn child. And so this is who the left is. They are insane when it comes to President Trump. And this one person, this psychotherapist, is now receiving death threats because he was brave enough to step forward and say, wait a minute, these people are mentally ill, and the people that hate Trump like this, they have a mental illness. They can't control themselves. They cry all the time. They can't sleep at night. I mean, they're violent, obviously. They want him dead. They've tried to kill him. They cannot understand why us, me, you, millions of Americans support him. Because we understand that supporting him makes the country better. Okay? Do we love everything he does? No. Am I still upset about the meeting with him and Zoran in the White House? Of course I am. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to completely throw him away and going to lose, complete support over him. What's the alternative? We don't have another one, okay? There's not another Trump out there. And there probably never will be, okay? And so you got to love him, you got to hate him, you got to deal with the good, you got to deal with the bad. It's the old Reagan rule, right? 80-20, 80% of what you love. And if there's 20% you don't throw away, the 80% that you do, basically, right? And so this psychotherapist is now receiving death threats from Democrats for calling TDS exactly what it is, a mental illness. Psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert says that Trump derangement syndrome is completely real. Here's how he described the condition. Quote, people are obsessed with President Trump. They're fixated on President Trump. They think about President Trump all the time in an unhealthy way, and they're hyper fixated on everything that has to do with him and his family. So in other words, not just Trump, it's also Don Jr., it's Eric, it's Laura, it's Barron. They hate the entire Trump family. And they talk about some of the features of this disorder, that they can't sleep at night. They feel traumatized by President Trump, and they feel restless. I have, quote, one patient who said that she couldn't enjoy a vacation because at any time she saw Trump in the news or on her phone or device, she felt triggered. So this is a profound pathology, he said. And I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time. Now, of course, for exposing this, Alpert is supposedly getting death threats, and that doesn't just, sit well with him, but now the authorities are looking into it as well, because he has had multiple death threats just for coming out and saying the truth. TDS is a mental illness. So then, according to Fox News, it says, the therapist has received threats after calling Trump derangement syndrome a real pathology. And then it says, it kind of repeats itself a little bit, but it says, He faced backlash after appearing on Fox News last week to discuss his November 12th Wall Street Journal op-ed about, quote, patients across the political spectrum who bring up President Donald Trump in therapy sessions not to discuss policy, but to process obsession, rage, and dread, end quote. Albert shared with Fox News Digital several messages he said he received via text message and emails over the past week. Eat crap and die, you racist, fascist piece of effing, uneducated MAGA crap. Different word, one message said. And then he said, it's been intense. Albert reacted to the messages in an interview with Fox News Digital, saying, I expect disagreement, yes, but I didn't expect the level of hostility and volatility, especially from people in the mental health field. The people who are threatening him don't seem to realize that they are proving his point, that yes, indeed, it is a mental disease. And then it kind of goes on a little bit more, and it basically talks about how these people need to be put on psychotropic drugs. They are being prescribed Valium. They're being prescribed Zoloft. They're being prescribed other things. And the thing is that I think, and I'll go out on a limb and say this, there is no cure. There is no cure for TDS. Once you have TDS, you can't get rid of it. Okay? It's like AIDS. It's like, so flesh-eating disease, whatever you want to call it, you can't get rid of it. So you have to be able to treat it. And there's only a few treatments for it, and most of them aren't very good. I would say the first treatment would be electric shock therapy. That would be probably one way to treat it. The other thing you could do is you could have a full-scale lobotomy of your brain. That might help alleviate some of the pressures of TDS. You could try to have another ailment, another health ailment, to try to subside or remove the TDS by focusing on another issue or problem. And, a lot of these liberals are suffering from what is known as anal cranial invergenitis, or as it's medically termed, head and ass disease. And so if you have your head up your ass, you probably won't have TDS as bad because you're worrying about how to get your head out of your ass. But I digress. The other things, there's only two other ways that you can really, treat this. Self-harm and self-immolation, which is basically lighting yourself on fire. So there's not a lot of hope for you folks out there that have TDS. And, hey, it is what it is. You get it, you get afflicted by it. That's it. You got to live with it. Or, well, there's other alternatives, I guess. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.